Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Beautiful, beautiful day here in the Sunshine Coast hinterlands. It is a divine place to live. It's a divine place to visit. And if you haven't been to the Sunshine Coast hinterlands in Australia, there's something about the land that is very magical. But basically, I'm jumping on live because I saw a comment actually on one of my TikToks, and it was around women understanding that their men need a sense of adventure. And there was two comments that specifically stuck out for me. One was, do you notice that there's no women posting on this? Which is something that I have definitely noticed. That if you look at all of my videos about masculinity, you'll be lucky if there's 2 or 3 comments from a woman. Now, that in itself is a huge awareness as to how unconscious and disconnected our human collective is. So that in itself is if I attach my ego to it, I get upset. If I look at it as a higher space of, okay, that's all right. So if women aren't ready to yet receive, in the majority, right? If the majority of women are not yet ready to receive that they could have more harmonious relationships if they start to understand their men and their own masculinity, they become more balanced, then that's okay. That's not where my focus is going to go, right? So it's still awareness. It's an awareness that women are not yet ready to receive this as an overall. So is it beneficial for me to put my time and energy there? So I went and actually was creating a TikTok on this, and I have been for several community violations. I have been banned for 24 hours off TikTok. I'm also currently on a 30-day ban on Facebook, and now I'm like, okay, let's just not get banned on Twitter and Instagram. But do you believe in aliens? And if so, what shampoo do you use? I can't see how those two things correlate. But interesting enough about aliens, I'm going to go on to that piece after. So my focus is going to not be to help educate women at all. It will be to continually empower and educate men on their own masculinity. And in doing that, and in helping men stand in their sovereignty and standing in their own truth, I believe that by empowering the masculine, this will help to balance the feminine as the ripple effect. And if you don't understand what the ripple effect is, it is absolutely beautiful understanding of interconnectedness in energy, so that even if you're one of those people that is like, I feel like I have to help people, I have to do this thing, I have to help, then just by doing your own internal work, your energetic vibration helps people. It helps people because it energetically has an influence on the people in your surroundings. So it's a beautiful... Sorry, that's my guard dog. My guard dog, who is a tiny little chihuahua, but she sounds rough. So that ripple effect is something that is a beautiful gift, because as long as you understand the ripple effect, then you know that whatever inner work you're doing is ultimately helping the whole. So for us to help the feminine, come more into their integrated femininity, the masculine just need to do the same for themselves. And at this point in time, it seems the masculine are really ready to receive. The masculine are wanting to become more true to themselves, and I noticed the masculine are actually really willing to do the work. And not saying that the feminine energy and women in our collective aren't, but from my observations at this current point in time, men are more open to hearing, receiving, implementing, and actioning consciousness and self-awareness or spiritual practices. And so why would we put our energy into something that's not flowing? Instead, we will put it where it's received and where it will flow and expand and create more. So that was my little message this morning, and it's nice to share it in this way anyway, because I get to answer some questions. And one of the questions, even if it is pulling tricks at me, which is fine because I love the cosmic joke and can laugh at myself, what would life be without humor, is around do I believe in aliens? Now, this topic is one that I have had my own internal conflict around. So basically, I was brought up in a very alternative family by a single mum, and my mum actually ran UFO support groups for abductees. Now, that was something that I was absolutely terrified of sharing with anyone. For many, 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 many years, I was scared to even tell my partners, because I didn't want the judgment or the shame that came with your mum is a fucking lunatic. And I didn't know how I felt about it myself. I didn't know how I felt about aliens and UFOs, and I had never seen one. So the only thing that I knew was that, and now it's making a lot more sense, is that when she would watch certain things like X-Files or movies or documentaries on certain races and certain beings, that it never sat right. It induced fear into me. So there was a fear that came up when I would hear about these abduction stories, or these fear about aliens taking people from their beds, or the stories and the movies. The way the movies were designed was to induce fear, right? So from my now greater understanding of the Matrix and how the Matrix is designed to keep us in fear and to keep us in a space of illusion, and that we live on a planet that is of free will, and so to take away our free will, they have to condition us, or we have to be conditioned to not see truth, and we have to choose the conditioning. Is that everything on TV is some form of conditioning of the mind. And a lot of it is lies. A lot of it is truth. So what I've started to understand, that truth in my body, in my personal body and in my resonance, feels light. Truth feels light and connected and whole and beautiful. And lies, or egoic separate mind, feels heavy and contracted and fearful and painful. So if you're watching or observing, so as a child, if I was watching and observing these things and I was having those responses, then to me that means there's lies attached. Now, what are the lies? What are the lies? The lies in the thinking around this for me and what I've come to understand is that yes, there are other beings and races throughout our universe, and we would be completely narrow-minded if we thought we were the only living species in the universe. So that's something that I know as truth for me, and what I believe to be absolute truth to some degree or another, open to interpretation. And the other piece of that is that our understanding of other beings has specifically been designed to fear these other beings. Now, we live in a world of polarity which keeps us in right and wrong. And while we're in right and wrong, we're in separation from source, creator energy. And working your way through your own rights and wrongs and finding acceptance and peace to the total unfolding is a journey, and it's challenging on your mind's concepts, your beliefs, and it means letting go of a lot of things that you believe to be true and real, and that means coming into a comfort of the discomfort of knowing nothing. Now, where this piece all comes and ties into that comment earlier around, do I believe in aliens? Yes, well, I think I've answered that there. And two, it's actually tied into a story that's happened, or an interesting perspective. 555 likes on this video right now. Is that I have up and moved my life from Mackay in Queensland, and I relocated to Kuroi in the Sunshine Coast hinterlands. Now, I only know that I've been guided here by the whispers from God, or from Creator. I like Creator more. And I left everything, including my children, which is a very challenging thing for the human mind to do, for a higher understanding that I'm here to create massive change on this planet and show up in a way that not many are. As this has continually unfolded, I have connected to, I am a Taurus, I have connected to high frequencies and vibrations, and I am able to transcribe them into the written word, or what I believe will be new scripture for, wow, I can't believe I said that out loud. See, that was my ego. Can you feel the difference in vibration? Whew. Oh, the fear of judgment that shows up. Anyway, I believe what I am writing and creating in this world is going to have a massive influence on the collective consciousness as a whole, which is the only reason I've been able to let go of my human beliefs to the role of mother, and start to see it and dissect it and change it to look different, and to understand that this time is temporary here, and that I, by committing to my purpose, can create a strong foundation and be a true guide to them on their own journey. Now, this I don't like. I don't feel it resonates for me to say that I communicate with aliens. That doesn't feel true in my heart. It doesn't feel light. So what I am communicating with is high frequencies and vibrations. And the other beings that are throughout our universe in different dimensions are different frequencies and vibrations that are resonating differently in different dimensions. So as a human being, we will all interpret this from a different perspective. Because these beings or races or creations of God are different frequencies and vibrations, they can transmute and they can, what would be the word? They can represent themselves in a specific form for us to see or experience in this physical realm. So, so our interpretation of these physical representations of other beings throughout the galaxy and through the universe will show up in the way we internally perceive ourselves. So if we have a fragmented self and mind, and we have disassociated from many parts of our own being, then what we do is we actually deflect and project that onto these other races and non-physical beings, and we will interpret them or see them in a more negatively perceived light, which is how we will actually visually interpret them as well. Everything in our reality is from the perspective we see. So I don't use the word greys or reptilians, but those are words that people resonate with. And the reason I don't like using those words is because the human mind has a construct of what that means. So if we're talking about those specific races, you already have an image in your mind, and you already have a resonance and a preconceived judgment on these races. What I'm about to share is that these races are not evil. We'll say evil. We'll use those words. However, these races that are a part of running the human experiment, I hope I can save this video and download it onto YouTube. Hang on. So these races that are running the human experiment, I do not specifically see as good or bad or evil. I have been able to understand that they are studying the human mind and the amount of separation that the human mind creates. So as the mind continues to separate from source, or goes into a space of ego narcissism, we create hell on earth. So the further the mind separates, the further destruction we create. The races that are studying this are using this information so they can create more harmony and unity in their own species and race. So now you can look at that and perceive that however you wish. They are not actually doing the things on this earth that we're trying to blame them for. We, as individual human beings, are choosing that ourselves. This is where a lot of the truth that is coming through for the human collective is distorted and confused, and I have no idea why. I have the ability to come through with some higher understanding to this. But But I am here to help correct those distortions and shed truth to where the lies have been threaded in. For all of you that do follow me, the way that you can find what's truly true in anything that you hear and receive is to feel it. So the mind has two states. It has a state of separation and a state of unity. Most of us live our lives out in a state of separation. So to find truth, universal truth, and true connection of God in religion, in any information, in Bibles, in dogma, in belief systems, is to feel it. You can't trust your mind. Your mind is not trustworthy. Your mind will manipulate you and your experience. So understanding that your mind is constantly trying to trick you, you have to come into your heart where your being sits. So if you sit in your heart, because you could witness me falling out of mine into my own fears of separation and judgment and pressure, is to breathe into this space. If it's new for you to breathe into a space of lightness in your chest and your heart, it's going to take practice. As you choose this space of truth and your heart space more, you're going to be able to feel when something pulls you out of that. That is your body and your inner being telling you when you are being manipulated by yourself and the external world. If there is fear, if there is judgment, if there is anxiety, if there is guilt, if there is shame, then somewhere here within your thinking and your perception is a lie. I'm going to have a little Doreen virtue. Interesting. Doreen actually came up in my, I have heard of her before. For me, it's very important for me to not feed my mind with other external information, because I have to know that what I'm communicating is not manipulated and not influenced. Now, this has been a message for me for the last, I would say 18 months. Have I listened to it? Probably not. I've tried. That means letting go of mass amounts of ego, of wanting to understand and seek knowledge externally and coming within. Now I understand why it's so important for me not to go and find information in books or other spaces of knowledge, is to make sure that I'm a clear channel and to make sure that everything that I am coming through with is not other people's perspectives that I have then manipulated with my own mind. So Doreen, I believe, without knowing, or having listened to anything other than one of the pieces she actually had channeled from the Pleiadian star system, which, if you haven't heard it, it's called Message to Humanity. And the message to humanity from the Pleiadian star system has kept me on track. Listening to that when I've gone into a place of separate mind has brought me back into my heart of understanding my purpose, which is to come into truth and wholeness and connection, which is ultimately the collective's truth of raising the consciousness to come into more wholeness and unity mind within, because we are one. But Doreen, I believe she has an aspect of the truth. I think there is a lot of truth in what she has shared, but she's only researched it through the mind of different people and through the correlation of putting the information together to find the information there. I feel as though there are some untruths in there, and I think some of them actually so around specific humans being here for a specific reason. I think that is a part of our superiority complex as human beings. That we like to attach to being here for a greater reason than other humans. My understanding is that we are all here with the intended same purpose. It just depends on how far our journey we have come. And that is to unify our mind and come into Christ consciousness, if you want to call it that. That doesn't feel true for me anymore. Wholeness with God or Creator. And that is the purpose of every single individual. Now, the people that are more resonating to what I have to share are people that would probably consider themselves or identify with being starseeds or more conscious than others. However you want to perceive that, the only difference is that you're further on your journey to remembering truth. You're remembering God. You have become closer. The state of separation within your own mind has lessened and lessened. You're not more superior than anyone else, and you are not more gifted. You've just remembered your gifts and been able to embody them. I'm no special or here for any other reason than anyone else on this planet. My gap with the separation of mind has just gotten smaller and smaller. And that is the same story with people like Buddha and Jesus, and Gandhi was someone that was mentioned to me recently. I don't know his story. Hare Krishnas. I actually have no real intellect on these topics. And the reason for that, I believe I've covered. So these minds are the same. They had lessened the gap to God realization, which means they were living in less separate mind. Now, if any of this is resonating in your heart, then I think that you will get a lot of value from the book that I am writing, which is called Transcendence To The Truth. I'm just the vessel for the information being shared. And as it's shared, I am healing and unifying my own mind, which means that the way I'm showing up in the physical reality is changing. and I don't know what that looks like. And the unknown of that puts me into a place of deeper surrender for God's path for me and trust. I'm going to thank you for your support. Thank you for feeling this message. I will appreciate your support on all of my social media platforms and being able to share this information with the world. So I ask if there's things that resonate with the things that I will be continually showing up and sharing, that you share them and you feel them and embody them and breathe them in, because these things will actually help to activate your own remembering. And the more that you remember, the more you'll find peace on earth. I love you.